Welcome back to the deep dive. It is Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. And, today we're doing something just a little bit different.
Yeah, we really are. It's almost a bit of a time travel exercise today.
Exactly. We are looking at a piece of writing that is actually intended for the future. Specifically, it's a piece written for Easter Sunday of this year.
Right. Which is it's a manifesto, really, and it connects two things that you almost never see in the same room.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually when we talk about Easter, the conversation is pretty set for you. You've got the spiritual themes, renewal, coming back from the dead, new beginnings, or you've got the commercial side,
Yeah,
right?
bunnies and the chocolate.
The bunnies and the chocolate,
I
exactly.
think it's usually a season for theology or candy.
Right. But this source takes those soft, ethereal concepts of, renewal,
Right.
and it slams them right into the hardest things imaginable.
Literally the hardest thing.
Concrete, steel, massive infrastructure project.
It creates quite the juxtaposition.
It really does. So for everyone listening, we are diving into a piece titled Engineered Renewal, the Digital Resurrection of Infrastructure.
By Roots BIM LLC?
Yes, from Roots BIM LLC. And I have to admit, when I first saw the title, Digital Resurrection,
You rolled your eyes a little.
I rolled my eyes a little bit. I mean, it sounds like a sci-fi novel.
Yeah.
Or maybe just a really aggressive marketing pitch.
It does have a dramatic flair, doesn't it?
A bit, yeah.
But once you get past the title, what you find is actually a very practical, almost urgent argument about how we handle the built world around us.
Right.
It's arguing that resurrection isn't just a spiritual metaphor anymore. It's an engineering necessity.
So I guess the mission today for us is to figure out what that actually means for you, the listener.
Exactly.
Like, how do you mathematically resurrect a crumbling bridge? How does faith, or at least, the language of faith, fit into a dirty construction site?
Well, the source opens by drawing that exact parallel explicitly. It says, and I'm quoting here, Easter symbolizes renewal, resilience, and new beginnings values that strongly resonate within the built environment.
Which is a very nice sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
But, buildings don't have souls.
No, they don't.
They have bricks.
True. But they do have life cycles. And I think that's the hook here. Roots BIM LLC is arguing that our infrastructure goes through a cycle that closely mirrors that Easter theme.
Okay.
It faces what they call adversity.
And adversity for a building being what exactly? Like rust?
Rust, decay, obsolescence, shifting soil. It's just the physical degradation of matter over time.
Right.
The argument is that we are currently surrounded by dead or, dying infrastructure.
Yeah.
And the traditional way of dealing with that is just...
patching it up.
Exactly.
Right. Like slapping some concrete over a crack and just hoping it holds for another 5 years.
That's just life support. But this source is arguing for something they call intelligent transformation.
Intelligent transformation.
Right. They're saying we need to move from just repairing the physical object to fundamentally changing how that object exists.
Using data.
Using data, yes.
The text actually has this really rhythmic line early on. It says, renewal is not just spiritual. It is structural. It is digital. It is engineered.
It's a total reclaiming of the term. They're essentially saying, hey, we can do miracles too. Ours just happen to run on algorithms.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
Intelligent transformation sounds expensive.
Oh, absolutely.
It sounds like something a slick consultant sells you to triple the budget of your renovation project.
Yeah.
Why is this resurrection different from just a really thorough, expensive renovation?
That is the core question, isn't it? So think about it. A renovation changes the physical appearance.
Right.
Maybe you get new windows, a new HVAC system. But the building is still fundamentally a dumb object.
It doesn't know anything about itself.
Exactly. It has no self-awareness. The digital resurrection the source describes is about converting that passive pile of bricks into a governed digital ecosystem.
A governed digital ecosystem.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It is intense. It means the building becomes a data asset first and a physical structure second.
Wow.
And the source actually breaks down exactly how you pull that off. They don't explicitly call them pillars, but there are 4 distinct technologies or methodologies they list as the mechanics of this resurrection.
Right. And this is where we really get into the nuts and bolts of the piece, or I guess the code in the clouds.
Yeah.
So the first step they mention is Scan-to-BIM. And the source describes this as converting aging infrastructure into high-performance digital assets.
This is the starting line. So imagine you have a factory built in 1960.
Okay.
Do you have the blueprints for that factory?
Probably not. Or if you do, they're like coffee-stained paper shoved in a damp basement somewhere.
Exactly. That is what they call fragmented data. It's totally useless. So before you can resurrect this factory, you need to understand it. Scan-to-BIM is the process of using laser scanners or photogrammetry to capture the physical reality of that building down to the millimeter.
So it's like taking a highly detailed 3D photo?
It's much more than a photo.
Really?
Yeah, because a photo is flat. A laser scan creates a point cloud.
A point cloud.
Right, millions of little data points in 3D space. You are effectively digitizing the physical world.
Wow.
You're taking that decaying analog structure and creating a perfect digital double.
Okay, so now I have a ghost of the building inside my computer.
In a way, yes. But this ghost is actionable. You can measure it, you can slice it in half, you can see exactly where the walls are bowing out or where the pipes are clashing behind the drywall. You aren't guessing anymore.
You've moved from, I think this wall might be here,
Yeah.
to, I know, to the millimeter, exactly where this wall is.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the second step in the text. Because obviously, once you have the model, you have to do something with it.
Right.
The source talks about restoring structural integrity using parametric modeling and data validation.
And this is where the engineering and engineered renewal really kicks in.
Now, parametric modeling is a term that gets thrown around a lot in architecture circles.
Yeah.
But in this specific context, resurrecting an old structure, what does it actually do?
Okay, think of it like a spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet.
Yeah, but for geometry.
Oh, interesting.
In a standard old school architectural drawing, if you draw a line, it's just a line. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
In a parametric model, that line has rules. It has mathematical relationships.
So if I change one thing.
Exactly. If I move this wall, the roof specifically knows it has to extend automatically to cover it.
So it's smart geometry.
It's highly reactive geometry.
Mm-hmm.
And that is crucial for the structural integrity part.
How so?
Well, if you are retrofitting an old bridge and you decide halfway through to change the material of the main support beams.
Let's say from steel to a composite.
Right. A parametric model can instantly calculate how that material change alters the load on the foundation.
Versus the old way, where some poor engineer has to sit there with a calculator and redo the math for 3 weeks.
And potentially make a catastrophic mistake. That is the data validation part the text mentions. The source says this process restores integrity. It implies that safety isn't just about the physical steel you use anymore.
It's about the math.
It's about the math being validated by the software. The resurrection is safe because the data proves it's safe before you ever even pour a single drop of concrete.
It really connects back to that phrase they used earlier in the text, rising stronger.
Yes.
The source literally says, just as Easter represents revival after adversity, BIM enables projects to rise stronger.
Right. Because if you just patch the physical cracks, you are merely restoring the building to its previous flawed state.
The state that failed in the first place.
Exactly. But if you use parametric modeling to optimize the structure, the resurrected version is actually structurally superior to the original.
It's not just back from the dead, it's upgraded.
Upgraded and optimized.
Which segues perfectly into the third mechanic they mentioned in the piece, optimizing energy efficiency via simulation-driven retrofits.
This is a huge one for anyone who owns or operates a building, because usually when we talk about old buildings, we talk about them being massive energy vampires.
Oh, for sure. They leak heat in the winter, they have terrible airflow in the summer.
Then the usual fix is, what, wrap the whole thing in insulation and just hope for the best.
Pretty much.
Right. It's a prescriptive approach, do X and hope Y happens.
Yeah.
But going simulation-driven turns that entirely on its head.
Because of the digital double.
Because you have that digital double we talked about, you can run physics simulations on it.
You can basically crash test the renovation before you build it.
Exactly. You can simulate a full year's worth of local weather.
Wow.
Sun angles, wind loads, temperature shifts, all on the digital model. You can test 10 completely different types of glass for the windows to see which one actually saves the most money.
So before you spend a single dime on actual physical construction, you know exactly how the building will perform.
It's a dress rehearsal for the building's future. It ensures that the purpose mentioned in the piece's title, Rebuilding with Purpose, is actually achieved.
You aren't guessing at sustainability anymore.
No.
Yeah.
You are engineering it.
It's so interesting how this removes the element of chance. The spiritual metaphor of Easter, resurrection is a miracle.
Yeah.
It's inherently mysterious.
Right.
But in this engineering version, It's the exact opposite of mystery. It's total predictability.
That is a really great insight. They are trying to remove the mystery of decay. They want to make the entire life cycle of the building completely transparent.
And speaking of life cycles, that is actually the fourth point. And this is the one that threw me just a bit when I was reading.
Let's hear it.
The source says, extending life cycle performance with 6D asset intelligence.
Ah, yes. The dimensions of BIM. This is where people usually get lost.
I mean, I know 3D, length, width, height. I know time is often referred to as the fourth dimension. But 6D, are we entering the multiverse here? What is that?
Not quite the multiverse. In the BIM world, these dimensions just refer to layers of data added to the model.
Yeah, okay.
So 4D usually adds the construction schedule. It adds time.
Makes sense.
5D usually adds cost tracking. But 60/60 is about the long game. It's about sustainability and facility management.
So that's the asset intelligence part.
Right. Think about when you buy a new car.
Okay.
You get a manual, maybe a logbook in the glove box. But imagine if the car could actively tell you, hey, in exactly 3 weeks, my brake pads are going to fail. Here is the exact part number you need to replace them, and here is how much it will cost.
That would be amazing. And that's 6D.
That is the goal of 60 Asset Intelligence. It's embedding all the operational data needed to run the building directly into the 3D model of the building itself.
So the resurrection isn't just a big party for opening day. It's a plan for the next 50 years.
That is exactly why the source links it to extending lifecycle performance.
Right.
If you have that level of intelligence, the building doesn't just sit there passively and rot until something catastrophically breaks.
It becomes an active participant in its own maintenance.
Yes.
It's almost like the building has its own preventative healthcare plan built right into its DNA.
And if you think about it, that totally changes the definition of aging.
How do you mean?
Well, if a building is constantly updating and constantly being optimized based on a continuous stream of data, does it ever really get old? Or does it just evolve?
Man, that's a trippy thought.
It is.
But it perfectly explains why they call it a digital resurrection.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing living process, not just a one-time fix.
Exactly. And all of these things we've discussed, the laser scanning, the parametric math, the weather simulation, the 6D data, they all funnel into the final big concept in the text.
The Holy Grail, if we want to keep the Easter theme going.
The Holy Grail, yes.
Governed digital ecosystems.
There it is.
Now, I have to say, governed digital ecosystem is not quite as catchy as resurrection. It sounds a bit like a corporate compliance seminar.
It does sound a little dry on paper, but think about the alternative.
Yeah.
The alternative is what we basically have right now in the industry: chaos, fragmented data.
The source definitely calls that out. It talks heavily about transforming fragmented data to reduce errors.
So think about any major infrastructure project happening right now.
Okay.
You have architects, structural engineers, general contractors, subcontractors, city inspectors, the client.
It's a massive web of people.
It is. And if they are all working off different sets of data, if the plumber is looking at a PDF revision from March and the electrician is looking at a printed blueprint from April, you have absolute chaos.
You have pipes hitting electrical wires. You have load-bearing walls being built 2 feet in the wrong direction.
Exactly. That is the reality of fragmented data. A governed digital ecosystem means there is only one source of truth.
The central model.
Yes, it's governed. There are strict rules about who can change what. Everyone from the architect to the guy pouring the cement is plugging into the same central brain.
So the intelligence the text talks about isn't just physically in the walls. It's in the coordination between the teams.
It's the intelligent foundation the text refers to at the end.
Ah.
And I really love that phrase, intelligent foundation, because usually when you think of a foundation, you think of concrete. You think of dirt.
Bedrock.
Right. But here, they are arguing that the foundation of the modern built world is actually information.
It's really shifting the core value of a building from the atoms to the bits.
Because in 2026, the value really is the bits.
Yeah.
You can replace the atoms. You can easily swap out a rusted steel beam. But if you lose the data, the fundamental knowledge of how that complex building works, that is when the asset truly dies.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the what and the how today.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the who for just a second.
Okay.
Because the source is Roots BIM LLC.
All right.
And the title of the piece is Engineered Renewal. And we keep talking about roots and ecosystems.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there's this very deliberate blending of nature metaphors with hard, cold tech here.
I think that's entirely intentional on their part.
Yeah.
Think about the word roots. It implies something hidden, something underground that actively feeds the visible organism above it.
Just like the data.
Exactly like the data. The BIM model, the 60-asset intelligence, that is the root system. You don't see any of it when you walk into the beautiful marble lobby of a high-rise. But if those digital roots die, the building essentially dies.
And using the word ecosystem implies that it's all deeply connected. The HVAC system is talking to the occupancy sensors in the rooms, which are talking to the central energy model. It's living.
It suggests that the hard line we usually draw between the built environment and the natural environment is getting very, very blurry.
Yeah.
We're starting to treat our steel and concrete buildings like biological entities that need to be nurtured, healed, and, when necessary, resurrected.
It's surprisingly optimistic.
It is incredibly optimistic.
Because usually when you turn on the news and hear about infrastructure, it's purely bad news.
Wow.
A bridge collapsed. The subway system's broken again.
Yeah.
The power grid is overloaded. It's always a story about catastrophic failure.
But resilience is a key word in this text. Resilience and new beginnings.
Right. This text looks at that exact failure, that adversity, and says, no, this isn't the end. This is just an opportunity for a massive upgrade.
It completely frames adversity as the necessary catalyst for evolution.
Because the infrastructure is failing, we are forced to adopt these advanced digital tools.
Yes. And because we are forced to adopt these tools, the end result is profoundly better than what we originally started with.
Rising stronger.
It's a very Easter sentiment, isn't it? The darkness of the adversity is entirely necessary for the brightness of the renewal.
It really is. So let's zoom out here as we wrap up.
Sure.
We're standing here in February 2026. This piece from Roots BIM is dropping for Easter. What is the ultimate takeaway for the person listening right now who isn't a structural engineer?
Why should they care?
Yeah. Why should they care about parametric modeling or point clouds?
They should care because this is the invisible, vital layer that keeps their entire modern world functioning safely.
Okay.
When you drive over a massive suspension bridge in 2026, you aren't just putting your trust in the concrete and cables anymore. You are trusting the data validation that proved that concrete would hold under stress.
And when you pay your utility bill at the end of the month, you are directly seeing the financial results of those simulation-driven retrofits.
Hopefully, yes. We are rapidly moving into a world where our physical environment is actively and constantly managed by these complex digital systems.
Right.
This manifesto from Roots BIM LLC is basically drawing a line in the sand and saying, the era of dumb, passive buildings is officially over. The era of intelligent, resurrected infrastructure is here.
It ends on such a celebratory note, too. The text says, this Easter, we celebrate transformation in faith, in infrastructure, and in the intelligent foundations shaping tomorrow's world.
It beautifully connects the cold technical achievement right back to the warm human experience.
It does.
We celebrate because we are actively building a world that just works better for people. A world that is safer, cleaner, and radically more resilient.
It's funny, we started this deep dive thinking about fluffy bunnies and chocolate eggs, and we ended up in this intense philosophical discussion about the digital immortality of steel beams.
That is exactly the beauty of looking at these niche, industry-specific sources.
It really is.
You find these profound, massive shifts in human thinking just tucked away in a corporate manifesto.
And that actually leads me perfectly to my final thought for today.
Yeah.
I want to leave everyone listening with something to chew on after the episode ends.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we've talked extensively today about digital resurrection.
We have.
We've talked about 6D intelligence, effectively keeping a physical building alive indefinitely through constant data updates.
Right.
So if we have a completely perfect digital double of a structure in the cloud,
Yes.
and we can mathematically swap out every single physical brick, every window, and every steel beam over time based on that model,
I think I see exactly where you were going with this.
and the data itself just keeps evolving and optimizing forever.
Yes.
Does the physical building ever actually die? Or have we, through engineering, essentially invented immortality for inanimate objects?
It's the classic ship of Theseus paradox.
Exactly.
But completely digital. If the soul of the building, the data, persists perfectly, then the physical body is just temporary clothing that gets changed when it wears out.
Exactly. Maybe in this governed digital ecosystem we are building, nothing ever really ends anymore. It just updates.
Version 2.0, version 3.0, ad infinitum.
It really changes how you look at a construction crane on the skyline, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's not just construction anymore. It's a software update for the city skyline.
That is a truly fascinating way to put it.
Well, I want to say a huge thank you to Roots BIM LLC for putting out this incredibly thought-provoking piece, and to all of you for going on this complex journey with us today.
It was an absolute pleasure to break this down.
Keep your eyes open for the structural renewal happening all around you. We'll see you in the next deep dive.